Okay, in this video, we're going to look at taking a recipe from the recipe book and balancing it in the recipe calculator to your specific ketogenic prescription. So we click on the calculator button on one of the recipes. We'll go for the salmon salad. And you'll see that we're in the recipe calculator. It's remembered my classic prescription input of fat, protein, carbohydrate. Or you could be using the modified input depending on what your dietitian instructs you. And you'll see that it's loaded the recipe and it's balanced it. So that's happened automatically and instantly. Looking at what we've got here, we've got a list of the ingredients in the recipe. And then this column of grey text that says start grams, that is actually the original recipe. And this is important because next to it we have the grams of the balanced recipe that you're going to make to match your prescription. And let's say this was baked goods, it was a muffin. You need to be able to see the original recipe and how far the balanced recipe has come from it. Because you might have a muffin that balances to your prescription, but it could be 90% oil, and that's not going to make a muffin. So you still have to use your dietitian brain or your MasterChef patient brain to think about what it's actually going to produce, even if it's balanced. So looking at this, we have the same plus and minus buttons as we have on the meal calculator. So you can move by 0.1 of a gram to specific numbers. And we have the sliders for adjusting the amounts as well. So we'd look at this and maybe go, well, that's not a lot of apple. Let's take the apple to 0. And we can click on the green padlock to lock that off so that the apple won't change when we slide the other sliders. And we might look at it and say, that's a lot of oil. Let's see if we can bring that down to something manageable. As we slide the oil down, you see the mayo going up to compensate. And we might say, well, that's not very much cauliflower. Let's see if we can bring the cauliflower up in the salad. We'll bring that up to something usable. There we go. And you can see everything adjusting to keep it balanced. And if it's not balanced, it's going to say not balanced, and you won't have the print preview button. Now, the other thing to know about recipes is that let's say we don't have one of the listed ingredients. Like I say, I don't have the mayo best foods. I can click on that to get a drop down of what else is available. And I can go, well, I've got the Eater thick and creamy mayonnaise. Now, when I click on this, you'll see all the sliders move slightly. They moved to adjust to make it balanced still because the Eater thick and creamy mayonnaise has a different macronutrient profile to the original mayonnaise. The other interesting thing about the recipe calculator is that it works in servings. So we talked about the original recipe. Well, the original recipe isn't necessarily matching your calories or obviously your prescription. So what it does is it divides the original recipe by your calorie requirement and gets the servings and then balances it. And the good side of that is that this is showing 1 serving. We can go, well, actually, I want to make 3 servings of this. And you just click on the buttons and it multiplies it. So you don't have to get your calculator out. You can multiply it up. Now, it might be that you're doing a pumpkin soup and you want 10 servings. There we go. Or it might be that you are doing muffins and you might want to do a servings of 12 because that makes sense. You just have to remember you bulk make it and divide it back to the individual servings afterwards so that you can, you're eating the appropriate amount. So servings are quite handy. Before you print preview the recipe, you should round it to whatever your dietitian has instructed you to round it to. So the grams of ingredients, we round it to 0.1 or 0.5 or 1 gram. And then you can print preview. So here we have the balanced recipe. You can put in your name if you want. And it's showing you the number of servings. So that's clear on the saved copy, and it shows you the grams per ingredient, and it shows the original grams if it's been rounded. Save that as a PDF or print it to PDF, and you can keep it as a digital copy or send it to your dietitian or do what you want with it. So that is how the recipe calculator works. In another video, we'll be looking at saving balanced recipes, but that's a separate topic.